Well now, Ramadan's just about to start, so it's time for me to pay respect to my ancestors, or I should say my wife's ancestors, in the graveyard. So I thought I'd show you a trip to the graveyard. Well, a massive welcome to you to my new channel, the Java in the Raw. It's a sister channel to my other channel, The Magic of Java. And in this, I focus less on the mystical and the magical aspects and more on looking at Java as it really is, warts and all. Yes, I suppose it is a travel and tourism channel, but I'm not here to hide anything from you. And it looks at everyday life, so you could also see it as somewhat of an ethnographic channel. So it shows the real lives of people. Not attempting to hide anything, not attempting to glamorise anything. It'll largely be in the mountains of Gunung Kidul, near Jogja or Yogyakarta, but I'll also show trips out to places like Yogyakarta or Jogja, and Surakarta or Solo, and even to Jakarta and to Bali when it's open again. But thank you for joining my channel. So as I say, at the beginning of our fasting, we go to the graves of our ancestors and we give thanks to them. And then we do so again at the end of our fasting. So this is a video of me going to the graveyard to pray at the graves of my mother-in-law and father-in-law. Not that I ever met them in their lives. And being Muslims, we bury the dead normally on the day that they die. So normally, in the morning if they die, or if they died overnight, we will hear from the masjid that they've died, and the whole village will gather at their home. And during that village, we will engage in a special feast known as a salamatan. Generally speaking, the corpse will be on show, and most people will go up to the corpse, maybe embrace it, put flowers on it, certainly tell it all that's happening, such as what people are eating and who's there, and basically just wish them goodbye before the corpse is washed with a special perfumes and then put in the casket for burial. The name of this feast is called a salamatan. And a salamatan is actually an animistic feast, but it's been incorporated into Islam, or certainly into the NU branch, the major branch of Islam in Indonesia. Here in where I am in Java, even the Muhammadiyah, which are meant to frown upon the salamatan, will also conduct salamatan. So the salamatan are held at important life cycles, such as birth, for which there are 4, during 7 months of pregnancy for the first child of the mother or father, known as Tinkaban, Barbaran or Barokan, the birth itself, Pasaran, 5 days after the birth, which includes the naming of the child, and Pinatan, which is 7 Javanese months after the birth of the child, a Javanese month being 35 days. During circumcision, which is called a sunatan, during a wedding, which is kepaningan, and as I say, funerals. And for funerals, they're held on the very day that we spoke about, and then they're held on 3 days, 7 days after the death, 40 days, 100 days, the first and second anniversaries, and 1,000 days. And they become progressively more elaborate. And the final one is meant to be when the body has decayed to dust. They become more elaborate with more people, and there's more chanting. Now this chanting does come from Al-Quran, and it was probably just a small part from Al-Fatiha. Depending on where you are in Indonesia, it might simply be Al-Fatiha or simply from Al-Quran, But in my part of Java, other things that will be added, which sound like Arabic, but are sort of a Javanese bastardization of Arabic, at which point the audience say Amin or Amen at specific parts of it. It's usually done by somebody who's attended a religious school, a kaya, an imam, an ustad, or very traditionally in the village, they're conducted by the dukan. During these prayers, a special meal is prepared, and in particular that includes a tupeng, which is a conical rice which is dyed with turmeric, or kunit as it's known, and sculptured vegetables and various cooked things are put around this kunit, and everybody takes part in that, taking that food, and some will be given them to take back to their families. So here I am walking along. You can see the graves now. So you can see the graveyard emerging. It's rather a beautiful graveyard, and actually it's where I hope I will be buried when my time has come. Now, as I approach the graveyard, I'm just about to stamp 3 times to ward off evil spirits, which I also do when I leave the graveyard. And you can see some are a little bit more elaborate than others, but in general the graves are of a similar style, and you can see them there. And if you can see the blue and the pink ones in front of us, that's of my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, and I'll be saying my prayers at those graves very shortly. Now, the grave itself is in a part, and there it is. You can see that, not the one with the roof on it, but where you can see the metal there, that's where Masperwa's son is buried. And that's a special part of the graveyard for people from the army who've died. So when I attended his funeral, it was a full military funeral with guns fired, etc., as you'd find in any country. So I'm going to make my way back. First of all, speak to the. Now, as I say, I first of all pray at the my father-in-law's grave, and then my mother-in-law's grave. This time when I prayed, I did feel something at the mother's grave. Sometimes I feel little, sometimes I feel it quite strong. But for the first time this time, I felt something at the father's. Now, as I say, people come before they start the fasting. So that was some people also coming to give thanks to their family. And because there's a tradition called Mudik during Lebanon, which is the end of the fasting, people come back to their village. You often find people from Jakarta, Surabaya, etc., coming back to the village to give thanks at the graveyard. Now, because I've been to a grave, it's important that I took wudu, so ritual washing, before I went there. But I also take a ritual wash, and there's the tap there, as I leave the graveyard. Well, I really hope you enjoyed that video and enjoy my channel, Java in the Raw. If you did, I don't do that very well with these with these algorithms. So if you could hit the like button, make a comment and subscribe, that would be wonderful. I'm not too certain how often I'm going to add to this. I always say that something like I'll attempt every week, but I think that might be a bit ambitious given my other channel. But if you hit the bell, I believe you get notification of it. And as I say, if you could like and subscribe, it'd be great for me. And, you know, if you are interested in the other aspects, the more mystical aspects, then do take a look at my other channel, The Magic of Java. But really appreciate you coming here. Thank you very much.